Well, let's hear from three Conservative caucus members on the resignation of Andrew Scheer today. From the foyer of the Commons this evening, we're joined by Alberta Conservative MP Stephanie Kusie and Garnett Genuis, and Ontario Conservative MP Michael Barrett. Good to see you all.
Great to be here.
Thanks for being here. Let me start right here with one part of this story that's developing today, and that's whether Andrew Scheer should even remain as party leader from now until the time that a new leader is chosen. Where are you on that? Stephanie Kusie, let me start with you.
Sure. Well, I think that Andrew made the decision today. I think it was a little bit of a shock to all of our caucus as we were sitting there, but we gave him the opportunity to come to this decision by himself. As you can see, it was a very painstaking decision for him. He took a long time some time to make this decision with the consideration of his family as well. And he clearly outlined the provision as to when he will be leaving, and that is when there is a new leader chosen. He didn't give an indefinite period of time. He provided a timeline for us, or somewhat of a timeline for us. And until that timeline is amended one way or another, I support him as the leader.
Garnett Genuis, are you comfortable with Mr. Scheer staying on as leader until a new leader is picked?
Andrew's always been someone who listens to caucus, and I know he'll continue to do that. But from my perspective, it is prudent and reasonable that we not have a transition to an interim leader when it's going to shortly be followed by a transition to a new permanent leader. The sort of constant upheaval, the reappointment of new positions, the reassignment, it makes sense for us to be able to go through the process we need to go through as a party, but to be focusing our attention on holding the Liberals accountable and on representing the people who send us here.
All right, Michael Barrett, what's your view?
The great thing about being on a panel with other Conservatives is we agree, and I support Andrew. I was supportive of his leadership, as he had widespread support in our caucus, and still does. And so, as Garnett said, going forward, the National Council is going to lay out the plans for a leadership contest, and those will unfold as they may. And Andrew has offered to continue to serve us as leader of Canada's Conservatives and as the official opposition, and that's important work to do.
Let's address this story today that Andrew Scheer has accepted money from the party. That's on the record, on top of his salary as an MP and party leader in the House of Commons, to help pay for his kids' private school education here in Ottawa. And that there's some suggestion he resigned today because that was going to be made public by news outlets. And let me ask you, what role did that play in his resignation? What can you tell us about that? Whoever wants to start.
Well, sure. The executive director of the party laid out a response to a question about the offset offered to the leader of Canada's Conservatives when they accepted the position to move their family to Ottawa. Andrew has 5 kids. The differential between the cost of education in Saskatchewan and here in Ottawa is what was offered, and it was approved by the appropriate authorities at the Conservative Party, and for that practice to continue, I'm sure it'll be reviewed by the party. But
okay. So let me ask you: there are clearly some party members coming out already saying that's not what they want their donations and contributions to the party to be used. Stephanie Kusie, let me ask you: are you comfortable with that arrangement? Does that arrangement work for you? Do you have some questions about why this was done?
I am comfortable with that arrangement. I think this is something that we've seen historic with political parties within the Conservative Party itself. And I don't think that this was the information that drove Andrew to make this decision today. I think that this is something that he's been considering with his family since October 21st. In fact, this certainly might have been a reason that made him feel vindicated in his decision. Like, well, I'm certainly glad I made the decision to do that, considering the further scrutiny given this information. This business is really hard on families and on people, but Andrew didn't come to this decision today. This is something that he has been giving considerable thought to since the October 21st election.
All right, Mr. Genuis, what does the party have to confront now as it looks for a new leader? What's the most important thing you need to come to terms with?
Well, I think in any leadership race, there's going to be a good discussion. Hopefully, it is a kind of a unifying discussion where we say, well, I agree to disagree about certain things, but let's recognize the things we have in common as well. And I'm hoping to see that. I'm hoping to see robust debate. I've always been a supporter of Andrew. At the same time, in the context of a leadership debate, there may be sort of finer points of policy where all of us might say, I'd like to see more discussion or refinement on this issue or that issue. So I think that can be a very positive process. And I think we need to stay focused, stay united, but have those debates in an open way. And we'll choose a strong leader who we can all unite behind, so that we can focus on what's most important, and that is the people at home, how we serve them and how we advance their best interests.
Given how the last election turned out, Mr. Barrett, can the next leader of the Conservatives be a social conservative?
The great thing about the Conservative Party is that we are a Big Ten party. We do have a diversity of views, and our members are really smart, and they made a great decision in 2017 when they elected Andrew Scheer. They made a great decision when they elected former Prime Minister Stephen Harper, and I'm confident that they're going to make a great decision again. And that leader is the one that's going to lead us into the next election. And with a fantastic team, I'm confident that no matter where they come from in the country or where they are under our Conservative banner, that they're going to be the next Prime Minister of Canada.
Stephanie Kusie, what's your view on that? Can the next leader be a social conservative?
I would say that the next leader of the Conservative Party of Canada will be a positive visionary within whom Canadians can resonate. And I'll be looking for that individual. I think all of the members of the Conservative Party will be looking for that individual. We need to win the next election, Peter, and we will pick the right leader to do so.
You're strong in Alberta, no doubt about it, and likely it would seem will remain strong. Mr. Genuis, isn't the real target for Conservatives when the next election comes, you need to make inroads in Ontario and Quebec that you didn't make this time around, and how do you do that?
Well, obviously, we need to continue to grow in order to get to government, and there's not going to be a lot of growing in Alberta and Saskatchewan in terms of seat count, because we did so well there. I mean, we made gains in terms of seats in Ontario, in the Maritime provinces, in BC, but there's more growing to do, and that's part of the discussion that's going to happen. An area that's personal for me, I'm the Shadow Minister for Multiculturalism. I think we have a lot of opportunity to expand and grow in our engagement with cultural and religious minority communities, especially in the GTA, who have very conservative values. I think there is a great growth opportunity for our party there. We could pick up a lot of support in the next election if we're able to engage more, to communicate more, to identify what is really the natural synergy of values that exist. And you mentioned this word social conservative, and I've said this a few times. The word social conservative is a word that means lots of different things to different people. I don't know that it has a really clear, specific definition in our political lexicon, but I know that there are many Canadians who believe in the importance of strong families, strong communities, who believe that culture is more important than politics. And those are values that I think are shared by many Conservatives, and those certainly need to be a part of what we continue to stand for as a party.
All right, let's finish on this to each of you quickly. When do you want the leadership convention? You've got a convention scheduled for April, but I'm not sure whether that's going to get changed into a leadership convention or a policy. It is a policy convention. Should that convention remain, and do you think it's a longer timeline to pick a new leader? Could you turn that convention in April into a leadership convention?
I think that the mood of the convention definitely will change. We'll start to see some posturing, some individuals coming forward. I think realistically, we have to have a fairly quick timeline. We are in a minority situation here. I would say to look for the late fall as to
So what I'm asking is, you don't think the April convention can be turned into a leadership convention?
I don't think
Too quick of a turnaround?
Yeah, I think it's too big of a turnaround, but I do think that the mood of the convention will change from policy to leadership candidates coming forward and laying the ground.
All right, Mr. Genuis, what do you think?
In general terms, I'm in violent agreement with Stephanie. I think April's probably too soon, but in the last Parliament we had a leadership race. We took quite a long time. We had, I think, it was almost 2 years really between the election, a little less than that.
You think that's too long?
We don't have that kind of time. I think we are going to continue to hold the Trudeau government accountable and be present and active in Parliament, but we'll be in a stronger position to do that with a permanent leader. And so we need to take the time to get this this right, which is, I think, past April, maybe into the fall. But we don't have a 1.5-year timeline, certainly, to get this done at the same time.
Time's run out. I'll have to leave it there. I know I think you're being called to a meeting here, I think, now. So I appreciate your time. Thank you so much. We'll talk again.
Thank you.
Thank you, Peter.